What's up, y'all? JDB Sports, back at it again. We are here for an NFL Q&A Blitz. That's what our title is called. We have some questions to fire off, but first we want to get into some social media comments over our last short that we posted on TikTok and YouTube. So without further ado, I'm going to move over to that and get that on. So, got it right here. Ignore that. All right, so I'll pull it up on YouTube first. We'll play this for y'all so y'all can see what we're looking at. Waiting for it to load. Bear with me. That kind of left.
Oh, it's jumping.
Hang on one second, man.
More touching for the pushing. Proof that teamwork makes the cheek work.
All right, here we go. Let's View's acting like a bucket of cheeks today. Are we back?
So,
All right, let's get back to it again. My bad. I don't know why it's not loading for us today. Hang on. Let me try doing it on TikTok because YouTube is kind of weird. Showing stuff.
more tuition for the pushing.
You got him.
All the phalanges on it.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll go to TikTok instead. There we go. That works.
Boom.
All right, so
More
check it out.
touching for the pushing. Proof that teamwork makes the cheek work.
Let's try it again. Second and goal.
Teamwork does make the cheek work.
Washington has been advised that at some point the referee can award a score if this type of behavior happens again.
The other thing I'm gonna
This
say
is more
the way
so
the
him
Chiefs
flying
lined up
over the
sideways
center
with their D tackle, I
than
don't think that's
like
that's
a
not gonna get it done. You
typical
have to get lower
tush-push
than their linemen. You don't have to
defense
freaking
where
lay
you're
a
pushing the
log in
defensive
leg. You're just
tackle
not gonna- you're gonna stop
trying to gain
anybody
some
doing
leverage
that.
because that's technically
Yeah, and I mean, what are
Right.
you gonna do? Come over the top of the center?
But
for
yeah,
the
you
blue
cannot,
logo,
you can't launch over
Yeah,
a center.
and then try to get him down.
And
It's-
that's
I don't know, it
safety for the
doesn't seem
defense and the center themselves. Because A, if you step on a center's neck, that's not good. B, if you get, if you don't have a landing spot and you get tripped up, that's all bad too.
So we're gonna get into this first comment. Basically, I just said with the tush push not being banned, how does the rest of the league stop this? Okay, so obviously, the first comment would be Troy Polamalu put Hurts on IR. Looking at that one.
Probably.
Yeah, and then they're over here talking about no, he wouldn't be real, which is crazy. Matt 3 days ago said defenses are limited on what they can do. You can't line up over the center nose to nose. Can't push linemen like they can with the quarterback. Just very limiting. You either have to jump over the line like Luvu did, or just get lucky. And I said just have to figure out a way to get the offense to lose concentration, so that way it could be stopped. Usually, if it's not executed perfectly, you can have a chance to stop it. Boston said Jags stop it twice. I said Commanders did too, but usually only stopped it when the offense didn't execute it perfectly, like I just said right now. Boston's over here saying that's why the Eagles practice it so much. They say everyone can do it, but they can't. Just because it's OP doesn't mean it should be banned. They practice it like every week, and it paid off. They shouldn't be punished for taking advantage of a skill. He said he got off reply. He got off topic with his last reply. But really, they should prepare for it in some type of way. Chiefs at least try to do something different. It was really stupid. Chris Jones almost got injured with him, sitting sideways. And I can agree with that one.
Yeah, and here, like, I don't think Boston really gets off topic. He's really talking all relevant points here and really seeing that it's just unprecedented. We haven't really seen anything like this before in NFL history, where a team's been so dominant at one play that they're thinking of banning it just because the personnel is so good.
Right, though, other teams stopped it. Still doesn't make it even for both teams. Yeah, the Eagles have more of a leg up in that challenge because their quarterback can squat 600 pounds. big boy. You know, Josh Allen's tried it; they failed it before. Plus, you know, the Eagles' offensive line is one of the best in the league right now, so you can't really compare apples to oranges on that one. Just there's got to be a way the defense can stop it, and I believe I posted down there. Well, Boston says even the Eagles have mastered that play in practice. It's not something they just do. Okay, I think we read this already. Unless you just repeated the same thing again. All right, I agree. The defense should get some leeway, but it's everything but unfair.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there.
And somebody said skill issue. I thought that was hilarious. Skill issue. By the rules, it's an advantage for the offense. Just because you practice it a million times doesn't mean it changes the fact. Run 1,000 times on a track with track shoes doesn't make it even. This guy forced to wear steel-toed boots. I kind of don't see the analogy there. It's like saying you wear track shoes, but then someone can come around and wear steel-toed boots, and it's not fair because the track shoe is going to move quicker. So,
yeah, I think they're making more of the comparison to where the offense is in track shoes and the defense is in the steel-toed boots. I think he's making that analogy, saying the defense is weighed down by circumstance. I could be wrong, Matt, but I think that's how I'm reading and interpreting your comment. In a way, like, yeah, do I agree there should be better circumstances for the defense to take advantage and play the push better? Yes. But again, not everything can be perfect, and the alternative is just allowing the Eagles to run a play they've mastered over and over, and the offensive line and the QB, like you've talked about, just go to prove how good of a play it is for them. So
yeah, I can agree with that one. This one also made me laugh. Give the DT a running start. Try to time the snap and just blow up the center. But then again,
it's hard. So hard to do.
Imagine freaking Desmond Watson freaking getting a nice running start.
Vita Vea just freaking shoves him over.
Dude, that'd be crazy. I mean, the point is to blow up the center and make the play unsafe. I mean, if you think about it, it's the quarterback sneak isn't the safest play, is what I post on there. You literally dive head first at brick walls, could get trampled by a defensive tackle if they lose balance, offensive lineman, etc., things like that. Either way, I mean, not every play is gonna be safe. It's a contact sport. I'm just gonna look at it that way.
Exactly.
And really on YouTube, it was more or less the same thing as far as the comments go. Basically just saying that, they really got to find a rule to stop it. The honest opinion of one of the dudes said that if you want the honest opinion, it's going to be brutal. You can't really stop it, and they're not going to apply any rule changes to make it fair for the defense. We'll see how it goes this year. Maybe if it gets banned or whatever, or rebanned again. Well, or banned again.
Yeah, for proposal.
But other than that, not really too much there. So without further ado, we got some questions for y'all. If you're a commissioner for a day, what are 3 things that you would change? Peyton, let her rip, my dude.
All right. 3 changes that I would make. I guess I'll go with my top 3. I'll throw in a couple honorable mentions here at the end. First one being pass interference not being a spot foul. I think pass interference is by far the most severe penalty that you can receive in a football game, and it can totally demoralize you and flip the field from one side to another. I just don't agree with it. I feel like it is a penalty that should be egregious, and I believe that the 15 yards and the first down does suffice. However, I feel like giving someone a first down and potentially however many yards in their vicinity where the flag comes in, I don't think that's fair. Another one kind of going hand in hand, holding not being an automatic first down anymore. I just feel like too many times it's a 3rd and 11 where the defense holds and you're giving the offense a first down for seemingly no reason in my regard. I feel like the 5-yard penalty is enough to, enforce and keep the defenses at bay in that regard. And then my final one would be overtime rules. Make it like college football. Teams are just going back and forth, scoring from about the 25-yard line. and taking turns who could, shoot the other team out first. I feel like it'd be fun, and NFL defenses are a lot better than college defenses, so it would be a lot more competitive in my opinion.
Tell you one that I can tell you all one that I don't have right now is you didn't talk about the onside kicks if I'm not mistaken. So
I did not.
Imagine making it 4th and 20, and if you get the 20 yards, you get that first down. I feel like since you have to declare an onside kick now, it takes the fun out of an onside kick. Obviously, for player safety concerns, I feel like just go for it 4th and 20, and if you get it, you get it. If you don't, then you don't. It is what it is. I feel like that's that's the honorable mentions for me. But defending the tush push, as far as it goes, like we were talking about with the comments with the D tackles running head start, I believe the linebackers should be able to push a D tackle into the center. Like you have linebackers and safeties come up, or you have a specific look to where it's like it looks kind of like a goal line stand, but then when like if need be, if let's say they fake, you can easily back up, or maybe have like a safety or two deep, so you're covered in case they want to throw some 4 verticals down the sideline. I know this ain't Madden, but I'm just saying in general, deep strikes. You want to have at least the coverage back there, but at least have like everybody all conjoined up when it's going to be a tush push, because you've seen it where they've faked the tush push and end up throwing like maybe like an out route or a drag route, or even running a boot action off of that. Like I've seen that once or twice before. But that's my first one. Full-time dedicated refs with multiple instances of ref quality control. Maybe like an executive in each game, to whereas they report to New York reports to them. Just another set of eyes. Potentially, it can make it a little longer, but I'd rather wait just a little bit longer and have the right call than have a messed up call. And then my last one would be like ownership not allowed to meddle in football operations. This goes for like the Dan Snyders out there, the Woody Johnsons out there that like to look at Madden ratings. You hire a general manager, let him sign the players to contracts, let him pick the coaches, things like that, unless there's no general manager in place. You said you had some differing opinions on that one. You want to explain them, and maybe we can go back and forth on that question a little bit?
For sure. So I agree with your sentiment for the most part. I believe that the GM should handle most, if not all, football operations themselves. However, I feel like an owner has a right to disagree with the GM at one point, even though they view, the team makeup similar, if not exactly the same. But sometimes your lens can be a little different, a little tinted. And I feel like an ownership sometimes has the better opinion than the general manager does, or maybe they have to work in tandem, especially during the draft process. I feel is an important time to work with your owner. So that's just a differentiation I see there. However, I do feel like, and this is an opinion I agree with you with, that owners are too involved with the football operation side of things, and that should change.
On top of handling the business side, like, having to deal with stadiums, concessions, things like that. I just feel like, if you weren't up to the task, then you shouldn't be an owner. But at the same time, so many owners have made teams bad because of the decisions they made, when they should literally just leave it off to the guy that they put in charge and they pay the big bucks to do. Like, you got to look back at the Dan Snyder era for Commanders fans. Bruce Allen wasn't really much any better. They were kind of like, he was Dan Snyder's lap boy, if you want to put it in that way. Whereas, Dan Snyder made a decision, Bruce Allen was like, all right, let's go. That's why Kirk Cousins was never signed to that long-term deal back in the day. $18 million a year seems like chump change now. But, I just feel like if you hire a general manager and you hire that level of person with as much power as they have to do contracts and stuff, I feel like they should get not entirely full reign. Like the ownership should have like a little say here and there, but it shouldn't have as much pull as they do now with literally people cutting people or trading for people just because they're Madden ratings.
For sure. It's more disagreeing with the semantics of it being a rule change rather than like the culture change, and like something the owner should just do because they should just be better people rather than the league forcing them to be better people just because. Force
them to be better people. They want to get all this money, force them to be better people. Do it now.
You know what? And I wish that was the case. It's just, again, all of these dudes are money hungry at the end of the day. But outside of that, I feel like I had one that I just wanted to mention real quick. I'll do one honorable mention, just tied along with one of your points. So I wanted to mention it is that anything should be reviewable. Goes along with your referee point you made and having a stable crew that's in and out and reliable. And then 3 challenges per game, no matter what. I feel like you shouldn't lose out on those challenges, no matter, whether the challenge is wrong or right. I feel like 3 challenges are good for the game, and yeah, anything should be reviewable.
Yeah, for sure. Because, there's a lot of plays. Like I said, just having more eyes on things with the refs. Refs get plays wrong. Like, you look back at that pass interference on Nickel Roby-Coleman against the Saints in that playoff game back in the day. I don't remember exactly what year that was, but you look at it and they said, oh, no pass interference was declared. I think that's what made really pass interference reviewable, didn't it?
Yeah, because it was so egregious that it didn't make any sense, and I feel like the Saints would have won the Super Bowl that year in all honesty, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
Breeze deserved it. Well, Breeze would have deserved it for sure. Want to get on to that next question we got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask the question to you so you can start it off. Is the current contract market fair for players?
Depending on the team, whether it's up to pay their players, like the Bengals being too cheap, or let's go back to where Albert Hainsworth got that $100 million contract for the Commanders. It's either you pay them too much or pay them too little. I think it's fair. I mean, a lot of these players are going out for the guaranteed money. I mean, you see contracts like in the NBA where there's a lot of guaranteed money. You see the same thing with baseball where there's huge contracts and long contracts. But I mean, baseball, in my opinion, is less rigorous for sure than football. There's a lot of behind the scenes work for it. I think it's fair in a sense to whereas, it covers your behind for injuries, but at the same time, teams just got to stop being so cheap. And I feel like there should be a penalty as far as that goes for teams being way too cheap to pay their players. I mean, there's a market rate for a reason.
I believe the penalty, and in all honesty, just lies within them losing their players and losing the culture and losing the guys within the locker room.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like self-sabotage, and I think that's where the discipline comes in, and making sure you pay your players and divvy out your money in the right way. And if they want to be cheap, they're going to have to suffer for it. So I don't necessarily agree with the NFL having to come down too hard on the owners, GMs for not wanting to spend money necessarily.
Yeah, that does sound kind of stupid now that I really think about it, but at the same time, pay your players, man. I mean, like, they paid Jamar and T over in Cincinnati, but at the same time, they barely addressed that defense this offseason. So what are they going to score 60, 70 points a game? Which is crazy. 60, 70 points a game and then freaking get blown out on defense?
Yeah, and I mean, Trey Hendrickson talks, they resumed as of right now, but we'll see how far that goes at the end of the day, and Shamar Stewart still isn't in contract talks with them, so it's a very gross site there.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm glad that the talks have resumed for Trey Hendrickson, because I'm so tired of seeing Chat Sports Commanders out here talking about trading for Trey Hendrickson. They're literally on the Trey Hendrickson crack train where they want him so, like, Joe Sparrow wants him so bad that literally every video he puts out is Trey Hendrickson this. Oh, bad news, Commanders can't do this. Good news, they're not discussing a contract anymore with the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. It's ridiculous. Appreciate the likes, Wolf Tato. Thanks for coming on in. But literally, it's just one of those things. Like, I'm so tired of seeing the hype. That hype is come and gone already, and it's almost preseason time. It's almost, well, it's minicamp time right now. It's almost things that are more important than worrying about a holdout.
Yeah.
If you would have, the Bengals are just gonna wait until he gets desperate enough to come back and sign a cheaper deal for them.
Exactly, and the sucky thing is that that Trey Hendrickson doesn't have a lot of leverage in this scenario, so he can't really wiggle his way out. But yeah, I'm in a contrarian point to you where you like the market. I disagree in certain aspects. just because I feel like certain positions are undervalued and certain positions are overvalued. And I feel like it's unfair to a lot of players who earn top end contracts, to people who don't. But there's nothing I can do to change an owner's mind. So unfortunately, if you want to give Tua $50 million a year, if you want to give Brock Purdy $53 million a year when Justin Herbert's getting paid less, or Jaden Daniels is getting paid less, or like a CJ Stroud.
That's why,
considering
that's
if their contracts have hit, considering, so Justin Herbert on a different deal, I'll say like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow getting less than a Jalen Hurts of the world or something like that, where the market is just going to keep on moving up, and then those QBs can use that leverage. I don't have a problem with that. I have more of a problem with linebackers not getting what they're worth because how valuable they are to a defense, especially run defense wise. I don't agree with wide receiver 3s getting more than running back 1s, the premiers of the world. I disagree with how that lies, but unfortunately there's nothing to do to fix it because there's so many different factors that you can't stop: inflation, growth of the game, etc.
So you're deep diving into it. I was just more or less looking at it at face value. Let me ask you something. Go back to Jalen Hurts and the Joe Burrows and the Justin Herberts. Is Jalen Hurts elite, or is he a product of a good system?
No, I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's elite.
I think like elite. I'm not saying he's terrible. No, he's good.
I think elite is reserved for Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Herbert, Daniels, Stafford.
Appreciate the San Rose's Wolf Tato on TikTok. Thank you. At least knowing that notification works. But you were saying about about Jalen Hurts?
Oh, he's just not in the elite realm of QBs. He's like a Dak Prescott realm.
Dang, really? Eagles fans are
I don't think that's bad,
Eagles fans will disagree for sure, but at the same time, it is what it is. Everybody's gonna have their own opinions, and that's why you see a lot of different sports podcasts out there. Someone's gonna say a Bryce Young's better than a Baker Mayfield, but then again, that's a stupid opinion too, because I think Baker's better than Bryce. Bryce just hasn't shown enough yet. We'll see how he does this year. Let's get on to our next question though. Do you think the NFL should expand, and if so, how much? We might have differing opinions here.
I'm saying no. And I'll explain why. I just feel like expansion right now, I feel like it would be maybe a smart time for the NFL to expand overseas and really just harness in on trying to build a brand that's foreign and all this, but
you have a lot of fans that you bring in a lot of revenue though.
I like that aspect of it, but at the same time, I feel like the NFL is doing fine. And if you're doing expansion, what are you going to do? Are you going to add 2 teams and make it an uneven 34 where you add 1 team and 1 team per conference, and then you have an uneven amount of teams in a division? Would you do it? You add 8 new teams and then you force yourself to have less talent because the pool is more spread out. And now you're getting UFL prospects on the field. Do you do 4 teams where you do 2 per, and now you're having 2 offset divisions? Do you eliminate divisions, and do you do conference? I feel like there's so much there to unpack where it's 32 is perfect.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. Now that you're really putting out what you're saying, giving out what you're putting out. Shoot, my bad. Off the rip, I said a continental league would be interesting. Like, having a division per each continent. Like, you look at Australia, you look at Asia, you look at Europe, Africa, South America, North America. If I'm missing any, shoot, I haven't been in school in over 10 years, so bear with me. Shoot,
play on Antarctica, dude.
Yeah, play on Antarctica. Nah. All right, so the Continental League would be interesting. I say maybe like a division of 8 teams per continent, which is really going to cut down the American League. Maybe some move. I mean, this would be like well into the future for sure. But at the same time,
you're thinking like soccer level. Like, geez.
It would be interesting. Just think about it. Like, you have 8 teams. Let's say you keep like the best 8 teams. I mean, that's gonna be kind of hard. The best 8 teams in America. Like,
You're gonna have
NFC, 4
Commanders.
AFC.
You're gonna have Commanders FC, dude.
Dude, Commanders,
You're gonna-
Commanders are going to Spain. I'm gonna tell you right now. They're gonna go to Spain, Portugal, something like that. They're gonna be in the European League. I'm gonna tell you. Either way, people are gonna hate that because as far as traveling, it's gonna put a lot of strain on the team. A lot of people aren't gonna be able to afford those overseas tickets and stuff. Right now, 32 is fine, and it's the NFL, National Football League, America. It's not the International Football League, not yet. I mean, but they're looking to expand. I mean, obviously, them playing in Berlin this year. They have a Madrid game this year. They have a Brazil game again this year. What's next? They're gonna go to China or Pyongyang. Let's go see them in North Korea. That'd be crazy. Now they'll probably go to Seoul or Incheon before they go to Pyongyang. That'd be crazy.
I do think that the expansion across just places in general for games alone are super cool. However, the reliance to travel as well on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
Say you're traveling from freaking, I don't know, Minnesota
Zurich.
to
Maybe
New Zealand. Yeah, it's not feasible, and I don't know. I feel like it'd create a lot more difference. I feel like divisions belong in football. I feel like your 2 games a year versus your divisional opponent matters a lot, and I feel like that comes to a halt if you expand.
I completely agree with that one. See, it's hard to say from a fan of our team. What teams do you think get dissolved as far as like if you do like an 8-team Continental Conference, right? What teams get dissolved and get moved? I think the LA, at least 2 of the LA teams get moved. I think you go.
I could say the Chargers can get moved. I think the Rams are more of the solid fit. If you're going to move one of the LA teams, you're moving the Chargers.
Yeah, because the Rams are historically LA. Well, no, they're St. Louis. The Raiders, right? Las Vegas.
So,
okay.
yeah, I'd say the Raiders are more LA, but they moved to Vegas, and I don't necessarily like that either. So I would be fine with the Raiders moving too.
Of course you would. That's a division rival. It wouldn't be anymore.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you can keep you would boot them out to a division, and then of course you would like just reallocate someone over, is what you're saying. But I don't worry about the Raiders inside our division. They would be the one team I'd want to stay, like, competition wise, but I just feel like they don't have a lot of fans, and it's kind of a tourist spot in Vegas for games. I don't know.
People go there for the casinos and the strip and all that. You're not going there for the Raiders, is what you're saying. Okay. F the Raiders, F the A's, F. No, I'm just kidding. Those are the A's, or the Aztecs. Who's over there? Baseball.
The A's haven't moved over yet. They're still considered Oakland, even though they play Sacramento. Yeah, they have a temporary stadium and everything. It's all bad.
My bad for my ignorance, guys.
No, you're all good.
I'm not a baseball fan like that. Honestly, I'm gonna go Nationals because Washington, but at the same time, I know the Nationals ain't the best team out there. I'm not gonna be like a bandwagoner and hop on like a freaking New England Patriots or God, think of a Houston Astros or anything like that, or Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees, big one.
So many Yankees fanboys out there, family members as well. They'll tune in the Yankees when they're winning. The minute they lose, you won't hear nothing from them. You won't hear nothing about them.
Yeah, haven't
I'm
heard
talking about my
nothing
team, win, lose, or draw. So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, you don't think that they should expand technically? I think they should do an 8-game conference, but I think they should roll it out gradually. An 8-division or an 8-team conference. They should definitely do it gradually for sure. They should.
I agree if it's like an 18 conference and they're like maybe moving some teams and everything, but then again that gets tricky. I prefer if they just leave it alone.
Yeah, think of it National Football League, not International Football League. Maybe test out on the UFL or the XFL or whatever the hell it is now. Test it out on them first, and then let them be our guinea pig, or hell, even college, because I mean those are broad universities as well.
Yeah, but I feel like college, you already see how the talent pool is and how spread out it is and how the top teams are so dang good and how the bottom teams are so dang bad. I feel like if you try it out in the UFL, or college itself, I feel like then you just diminish the talent even more, and then the product isn't that good, and you're facing bum squads.
All right, so leave it where it is.
You're right.
Shoot, maybe we can send the Chiefs.
In my opinion,
Send the Chiefs to Australia. How about that? Be the Kangaroos, the Kansas City Kangaroos. All right, let's get off our expansion. I have a built-in question for you before we talk about expansion. Which team would you cut today and why? Which team deserves to get the axe if you had to pick one? Maybe from each conference if you had to pick one so it's easier.
Kick out the Browns.
Browns. Ooh.
Because they've been around forever and haven't done shit.
I mean, you can say the same thing about the Eagles before 2018, but
yeah, but they've won a couple championships.
Yeah.
Browns haven't even been to one since like pre-fucking Super Bowl era.
all right. So Browns, AFC, NFC. What you thinking?
I'm trying to think. Oh, the Lions.
Lions.
Yeah. Even how good they are now or how solid they are now, kick them out.
Like I said, 7-7 this year. 7-10
Again,
this year.
they won't be that bad, but they will be much different.
Yeah, they're definitely. I'd say at least a 4-game swing. Maybe they drop down to 10 at the least. At the most, I say 7-10. That's like what? That's a freaking 7-game swing right there from last year.
8-game.
8-game swing. All right. Yeah. Let me figure out how to do math again, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So you said the Lions and the Browns, two kind of Midwestern teams right there.
Yeah. Who would you choose?
Man, I gotta freaking hang on a second. I'm gonna pull up all the teams real quick just so I can look at them real quick and really think.
It's hard because I had to go division by division. I thought about like the Jaguars or the Texans over the Browns.
All right, so let me get from AFC. I'm thinking one right off the rip from looking at this. I'm gonna say the New York Jets.
That's fair too. They've just won a Super Bowl, so that's why I didn't put
it's definitely like the double New York, New Jersey teams. I feel like that doesn't make sense to have two separate markets for New York's not that big. I mean, they are a big market, but they're not. At the same time, if you really want to think about it, do they need two franchises? Plus, New York is peasantry. I think they have the longest active playoff win drought now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably.
It's like 2010 or the longest playoff drought in general. So
yes, and Sanchez. So
butt fumble. All right, so let's go to the NFC. My luck, I'd say the Cowboys because they're not America's team no more. Just kidding. No, not the Cowboys. Cowboys drive ratings. I don't feel like they should leave as far as that goes. New Orleans is a good market. I mean, even though they suck, Buccaneers are a decent market. Panthers are alright. I mean, they're more or less the expansion team because they used to be Washington fans, like the Panthers. Arizona's a good market. San Francisco, Los Angeles. San Francisco has a big history. And the Rams, The Rams too, are like when you think of LA, it's the Rams, right? Damn, it's kind of hard to pick in the NFC.
that's why I picked the Lions, dude. Just terrible history. I just did the worst histories, basically.
All right. God, I want to say give me the Atlanta Falcons, but big market.
Okay.
Big market. But yeah, give me the Atlanta Falcons. So Atlanta Falcons and yeah, I'm crapping in bed. Who'd I pick? The Jets.
Yeah, you picked the
It's
Jets.
so easy to forget about the Jets, man.
Yeah.
All right, so the Jets and the Falcons, and you said the Browns and the Lions to boot out of the league. And the crazy thing is, I think, what was it? Houston, Carolina, and it wasn't the Browns. No, the Browns weren't an expansion team. They moved, right? Because they were Jaguars. Okay. Wow, so I didn't pick any of them. Or the Texans.
I thought about it, but I'm like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They haven't had it long enough to accomplish anything. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking teams been around, haven't accomplished jack.
Okay. No, okay, I agree with that one. But the Texans, I mean, they're on the up and up. But 2002, what have they done? David Carr.
I agree.
Yeah. But at the same
No,
time,
trust me, I agree. I would pick the
got here.
Jaguars.
Yeah, they just got
Yeah.
here. They just got here. Let them settle. It's only been 23 years. They haven't done anything, but they're good. They got C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans. They're fine for now. Man, I like D'Amico Ryans. It's probably one of my favorite coaches. All right. Clearest identities. Which teams you got?
I just got two. I'll make this an easy one just because it's pretty clear to me. I would say the Eagles and the Rams have the clearest identity, or they have the best installation of what they want to do in the league. And I wanted to leave the Chargers out of this because I feel like their offensive line doesn't embody that mentality. But go ahead.
Rams are basically the quick, the West Coast offense, the true embodiment of a West Coast offense. Hats off to Sean McVay there. I have them on my side too. The Ravens, I believe, are just a straight running offense. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to say not bad for a running back, but you can sling it. It is what it is. I mean, but they're a run-first mentality, and you see it the minute they step onto the field. So I say Ravens, Rams, Chiefs, obviously kind of like you know what? I'm taking the Chiefs off clearest identities because I'm gonna look at them like, they can run 20 times a game one day and freaking throw it 50 times another day. So clearest identity, no. I feel like they're kind of the spur of the moment team. They kind of they game plan and basically they'll put some quirks in their offense for the moment at hand. Like then you'll see a lot of Patrick Mahomes scrambling, or you'll see him standing back in the pocket and delivering strikes over the middle or down the field or anything like that. So Chiefs, they come off. So it's going to be Eagles, Chiefs, and Rams, because obviously Eagles, you're looking running first with Saquon and Jalen with that read option. And then you're looking at their offensive line that can really bully people up there on that quarterback push sneak. And then you're looking at, they have a solid threat of receivers too. But when you think of Eagles, I know everybody's saying A.J. Brown's one of the best wide receivers in the league, but I'm going to look at it like, I don't think about their wide receivers first. I really don't. And they don't scare me like that.
They scare me like that, but I don't think about them first.
they don't scare me like that. I'm not saying they're bad. They're not bad. They're great. Devontae Smith is good with his hands, except for against Week 16 against the Commanders that lost the game. There's been a couple. I'm not going to say that the whole game fell on Devontae Smith dropping that pass. The offense couldn't really do much in the second half after Jalen Hurts went out, but I just don't think about the receivers first, like you were saying. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts come to mind first, and that's why they got Saquon Barkley, because they want people to fear that whole offensive installation, and I respect it. Being a Commanders fan, so I wish we had a running back like that.
Soon come, possibly.
We got Brian Robinson. Yeah.
Turn up season.
We'll see.
But yeah, I really like your takes there and everything. The only reason I'd leave out teams like the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs, I think it might have been a little unfair to leave out the Chiefs. So this point is more for the Ravens and the Bills. I feel like their play calling has some inconsistencies come playoff time that really kind of lose that sense of identity. Whether it's the Ravens on the offensive side of the ball, Todd Monken kind of getting confused in what he wants to do. And then the Bills side of things on the defensive side of the ball, Sean McDermott not making the most clear choices and moments. And I feel like the Eagles and Rams, from coaching to ownership to general manager, they know what they want to do.
Yeah,
they go after it.
They're what you look at as far as building a team. You got Howie Roseman with his contract finagle wizardry. You got Jeffrey Lurie basically letting Howie Roseman take control and do what he's got to do. You got the coaching staff on the Philadelphia Eagles. Same thing with the Rams. You got Sean McVay, been there for a little while. Solid offensive coordinator when he was with the Redskins, Commanders. But I can't say anything. That's the embodiment of teams. You want to go West Coast, you think Rams. You want to go running first style, punch you in the mouth, you're looking at Eagles. Either Eagles or Ravens. That's all I'm gonna say. Eagles or Ravens. But I'm thinking more Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley is better than Derrick Henry. I mean, that's probably up for debate. But their last matchup against each defense, says otherwise. I mean, I'm not putting the Ravens defense up there with Philadelphia's, but Philadelphia's defense was the best in the league last year. So
Heck yeah.
I just still think I still think Saquon Barkley's better. I mean, you put Saquon Barkley against the Eagles defense. Honestly, I really don't know who's winning there. I mean, maybe it might be like a Chiefs game where they neutralize them, like in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
I just think that within itself though makes every other aspect of the game just that much better, that much more available, and Saquon is addition by subtraction if he's not producing.
Right. You're still worried about him. That's the thing. All right. So Eagles and Rams in the main facet. I'm a Ravens sometimes. Ravens are like a slow third. Well, not a slow third. That sounds wrong, but a close third. Maybe the Bills. Right?
Yeah, they're biting at the knob.
Hey yo, biting at the knob. Flop on my knob. Record on the cob.
Okay. You want to say AO to me? Yeah.
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some domes. Some teams should play in some domes. Let's get away from the pause moments here. I'll be talking about that kind of dome, but
let's have more.
Do you believe that all? Okay.
All right. Do you believe that all teams should play in domes? No. Personally, no. I don't think so. I feel like some teams like Green Bay, you like that cold weather snow game. Well, wait, this is the question I want to ask you. Retractable roof dome or just closed? That's the question.
I said yes with all retractable options. So you can do as you may.
Okay, so if it's retractable, then yes.
Okay.
Because every city deserves to host a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I agree there. I agree.
Every team deserves to host a Super Bowl, but at the same time, fans do love the snow games. I've been to a game where I got rained on before. Pretty thrilling. It's just something you're not going to get sitting at home on your couch unless you have an open skylight in your room, and you're just letting the rain and snow in while you're watching the freaking football game and getting blown out by 30. I don't know. Imagine just sitting there getting rained on, sitting on your couch where your team's getting blown out by 30, all pissed off, all angry like this.
You know what would be sick if they could emulate the snow inside of the dome and let it like seep through slowly instead of like a heavy downpour, the field being covered with snow, like too bad or anything like that.
Okay.
Like a half inch of snow or less.
Yeah, whereas you can still see the numbers and the lines and all that crap. Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't like slipping and sliding in the snow, or like what Justin Fields and the Bears did that one year where they're slipping and sliding in the muddy turf.
I totally agree. I say do away with it all. I think it should be retractable all the time, and you play when the weather's nice and sunny with the retractable dome.
The only thing that sucks is their temperature requirement, which they broke when New York hosted the Super Bowl, or New Jersey hosted the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks and Broncos. The 40-degree or 50-degree barrier in February, that's kind of extreme.
It's that's why.
Yeah, but you're putting it for the teams in the South, and you're putting it for the teams in the Southwest. Northwest. They're not hosting. Seattle's always cold and raining during that time of the year. You're looking at Minnesota, Chicago, in the teens to negative numbers with snow. Looking at Pittsburgh with snow, Philadelphia is cold. It is what it is. I feel like even New England. I feel like New England should host a Super Bowl. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I feel like as long as the conditions aren't bad.
Yeah, but the only thing I'm gonna say is let's go with retractable options. Everybody has a retractable dome in this day and age. All right, let's say that's the case, right? A lot of teams. I think Cleveland's also moving to get a dome stadium. They borrowed $600 million from taxpayers, which was unclaimed money, I believe. But let's say everybody has a retractable dome. I think New England definitely gets that Super Bowl first. It's nice out there. It's real nice out there.
I know it is, but it's also nice in a couple other spots too. I don't know. I would have to look into it. I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head. I just know that, like you said, I didn't even think about the point of teams having their own Super Bowls like within, their respective area. But that's a great point as well.
Let me look at
just
it.
adds flexibility.
Yeah. So not everybody needs domes. Like you're looking at like Arizona. Oh, I mean Arizona needs domes. It's hot as hell. Hot as hell
Yeah.
there. But I mean in February it's comfortable. I don't know, man. I'm really thinking about it. Like in this time, usually February 5th to 10th, around that, around that time frame is when it gets its coldest here in New Jersey. So that's when we'll be dealing with the like Philadelphia will be dealing with the snow and all that. So yeah, domes retractable. I feel like if you have the dome open in the Super Bowl aspect and it's snowing, I feel like you close it by kickoff. Just let some snow get on there for the effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or
have it like if it's really light.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what they would do is they probably just wouldn't. They would just
Keep it closed.
have it either. Yeah, keep it closed.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at it. Look at the divisional round against Commanders and Lions last year. You saw how electric that dome atmosphere was in Detroit. Did you watch? You watched the game, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you saw how like everything went dark and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's sick.
Yeah, I feel like domes are definitely the future for everybody. Just depending on who can afford them, who's going to be not too cheap to buy one. Like I said,
Yep.
Cleveland's asking for $600 million from the unclaimed money fund or whatever that they got going on in Ohio. So you got other teams funding it with taxpayer money, and then you got other teams putting billions of dollars into the restoration projects. I know the Commanders are putting like 2.4 billion, I believe, something like that, into their next stadium. So we'll see.
Heck yeah.
Parliament's kind of dragging their feet on that one though, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, with the times going on with the conflicts going on over the Middle East and things like that, we have to, stadiums put it on the back burner.
Yeah. Focus on foreign affairs and freaking all the protests too. But again, won't get too much into that. But they are distracted and they are going crazy. So
Right though.
watch out. Last question, because there's not much news. I kind of did a quick scroll on my phone. Trey Hendrickson was the only news, really. Him resuming talks with the Bengals.
Yeah, that was going to be the last thing that we did. I mean, I know we're hitting on about 50 minutes, which is good. So dark horse MVP this year, what you got? Because what I'm going to pick may surprise you. So we'll see.
I don't know. I feel like so there's two different echelons of dark horse MVP in my odds, because I looked at the front runners, if you will, and I looked at Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow being the four at the top. But right after, I think a little harder odds, someone I really like for the MVP, second year player, again, your man, Jaden Daniels.
I didn't even pick Jaden Daniels, which is crazy. I mean, I think I don't know if he's dark horse. I feel like he's in that top consideration though.
He that's why he was a lighter one for me. He's not my necessarily top choice in this regard. He's plus 850 odds. So in all honesty, it's really good. I didn't want to go with Justin Herbert at plus 2,000 odds. I saw him. I saw Caleb Williams at plus 3,100. Those were guys in my mind that I kind of liked, but at the same time,
you're looking for dark horse, like somebody that nobody's expecting type thing. That's why I picked who I picked.
Well, Herbert and Caleb Williams still plus 2,000 and plus 3,100 odds respectively are dark horse.
Hey,
in my opinion.
Yeah, the odds against them is when people shine the brightest. That's why I picked Justin Herbert for MVP, dark horse. I did.
Fair.
I picked them just because you got the changes that they had this off season. They actually got some receiver help. Their off season was decent in my opinion. Draft was decent. Like the fact that they'll have more than one guy to throw to. They got Najee Harris in the off season. Just like what they did, and I feel like it's going to elevate his game. You're not going to rely on him throwing to Lad McConkey all the time, and he's going to have some he's going to have some variables in his game in this upcoming year, in my opinion. So I believe he's the dark horse MVP in my opinion this year. I feel like it's going to be Lamar, Lamar Allen, maybe even Hurts in the top 5 discussion. Looking at Jaden Daniels, I mean, I'm only saying that for the fact that, you know, he could elevate it. I don't know. I'm gonna give the Eagles fans credit. Okay, they have a good game manager on their hands, and that's about it. All right, I'll leave it at that. Maybe, but at the same time, his receivers are gonna make him look a lot better than he really is. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel like Jalen Hurts would have to, like, the Eagles would have to go like an absurd like 16-1 for him to be MVP. And I mean, I don't know necessarily mind the sneaky pick. My real dark horse was Trevor Lawrence. You might think I'm crazy.
I don't. That's why I didn't say anything. You know, I'm like, what the heck, man?
Really? So here's the reason why I feel like, and this is boom or bust. These are people at their ceilings. So that's why I thought Caleb Williams could be an option as well, because if he plays at his ceiling and he gets the counting stats,
yeah, he didn't get a chance to even play at his ceiling. If anything, he was playing at his floor with the bad offense. I think he said over the offseason when Matt Eberflus, nobody gave him a playbook. He had to. Well, I mean, they gave him a playbook, but they didn't test him. He had to just have the initiative to go and learn himself and to ask questions. So with this new offense, I feel like he's going to definitely accelerate. I feel like he'll be. I'm not going to say he's going to be on Jaden Daniels' level, but he'll be damn near close if there is one. Like when you look at it, Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston 10 years ago, right? Who did you think was going to be MVP out of those top 2 picks if you had to pick one?
Winston.
Because why? He was more of a pro-ready.
Because he had a pocket passer, better arm.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it seems like the last couple of years with the MVP, it's been mobile quarterbacks that have an arm, mobile quarterbacks that can run when needed to and serve in more facets. When I look at a running quarterback, Jameis Winston's not it. I thought Mariota was going to be the MVP, to be honest with you, with how, you know, his hype coming out of college and all that. And honestly, I think the number 2 pick always has that kind of like,
chip on
that
their
shadow,
shoulder.
yeah, that chip on their shoulder. Yep, exactly, the Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams thing. So, I
don't know. Again, my take on that is Caleb's still going to be better than Jaden when all is said and done. But again, that's neither here nor there. I feel like that.
You want to explain that for the stream, because we talked about that behind doors, I think, in our chat. But explain that for stream, because we got to get that on one of the boldest takes and the people to keep the receipts. Let's go. Why do you think Caleb Williams is going to be better? Drop the knowledge.
I feel like Caleb Williams at the end of the day is more accurate in the middle of the field. I feel like their arms are extremely comparable. I'll give Jaden Daniels the benefit of the doubt on the deep balls. I feel like Caleb Williams is a better improviser. As far as that goes, I feel like Jaden Daniels is a better scrambler, but improviser is a little bit different. I feel like Caleb can make more out of structure than Jaden can. And I feel like at the back end of last year, when, Jaden came back from injury, he didn't seem like the same quarterback until the final week of the season plus the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, until he was actually healed. That's the thing. He was never
For
he was
sure.
never 100%. And he was rushing them. I'm sure he was rushing them to come back, saying he's great when he's not. At the same time, playing with injury, it's gonna be harder, especially for a scrawnier guy like Jaden Daniels. Heard that man thickened up like a bowl of oatmeal, though, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I trusted Caleb more coming out of college. I'll stay with the take for now. I think it's splitting hairs. Don't get me wrong. I would clearly take Jaden right now. But at the same time, I trust my eyes. I trust that I said Caleb was generational, and I still think he has higher end talent than Jaden does. But who knows?
You heard it here first, guys. Just remember when Jaden's hoisting that Lombardi trophy and Caleb's going 4-13.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Well, I shall remember.
It's not going to be that bad. Watch that. At the same time, Caleb Williams does have more of that structure that you'd look in a quarterback, as far as his measurables too. Like, you're looking at how beefy. Like he's a bigger guy in my opinion. Jaden Daniels, if he doesn't bulk up like they want him to, but then again, he bulks up, he's gonna lose some speed. You're gonna get a little slower, and he relies on that speed getting through and squeezing through people getting skinny, if you will. It's gonna be boom or bust in year 2. He's avoiding the soft. He says he's gonna avoid the sophomore slump, but everyone says that. We'll see.
Of course.
I hope he does well for my team's sake. But as far as, Caleb Williams, I hope he has his success too, because, before that Hail Mary attempt game where they lost, there was so much hype out of Chicago saying this team's different, this team's great, you don't know what y'all are gonna y'all don't know what y'all getting into, and they ended up losing all the rest of the games until that Packers game at the end of the year. So
yeah, weren't they 4-2 at that point?
They were
And then
4-2, and then they dropped. Yeah. They dropped.
Yeah, you guys just flipped their season on their heads. So
now Tyreek Stevenson did that. Tyreek Stevenson did that. But no, that is what it is, man. Anything else you got going on? Wait, I want to ask you something. So, I'll ask you off stream. Don't worry about it.
Oh, for sure.
Anything else you got going on? You said no more breaking news. You said just the Trey Hendrickson talks and all that have ramped back up. Noah Brown also got hurt in off-season activities as well, so we'll see how that goes. I can actually let me check real quick and see if that injury has been rectified, because I think it was this past week. Noah Brown. Yeah, he was carted off the field in minicamp. That was yesterday. So. Excuse me. I thought it was it seemed like it was last week. I don't remember. I remember hearing about this a little while ago. All right, faces an MRI. I don't really see any. I don't see any update yet. But that's it. All right. So that was our Q&A blitz. Would have appreciated a little bit more as far as the comments go. We could have got people in here and talking more, but it is what it is. Look for shorts this week. This is the first time we streamed on the Jersey Desert Boys on TikTok, so it looked like it came through as far as like the stream go. It came through just fine, and I like how everything was working. So, all right, we'll be back next week. Between 8:30 and 9:30 Eastern Standard Time with our next installment. We'll see. We'll let y'all know. Join our Discord. We'll put it in the comments on our shorts, and we will see you guys next time. Y'all enjoy your week.